I'm Andrew Hager. I'm the Customer Analytics Manager for Energex. We first started working with Acxiom about 3 years ago, so we've had a fairly good relationship over the 3 years now. And we recognise that customer information and data is really valuable to us in the way we plan and design our networks. So we need to understand the customer and how they behave to make sure that we can be efficient in our capital planning programs. Look, we went out to tender for quite a number of companies actually, it was over 10. And the things that we were asking for was, first of all, data. We needed to be able to understand our customers with actual attribute data about them. So they needed to demonstrate the ability to have a lot of information about customers. The second thing we were looking for was knowledge and experience. So we didn't, as an organisation, have the core capability and experience in programs in running customer behaviour programs and understanding change and factoring that into planning and forecasting. And the third thing was around skills, and that was skills within the external company, but then also skills within our own organisation to be able to relate and work with each other. And then finally, we were looking for a company that can manage and house the data for us. So I guess there were 4 key things in the end, and we went out to tender, and Acxiom were the only company that could demonstrate all those 4 things at a good cost, effectively. We recognise that the enormous amount of data that we needed about our customers, we have over 1.3 million connections to our network alone. We would never be able to cost effectively or accurately be able to capture and store that amount of data for our customers. So we had to go to a company to help us with that. And look, this is Acxiom's core strength, it's their core ability. So that's why we chose them. Our industry is changing quite a bit with new technology and all of that impacts the way we design and plan a business, and we're an essential service. So we're providing electricity for every single home and business in southeast Queensland, and you know that comes at a cost, and you know we recognise that we are a large part of electricity bills, and we will, you know, and we may continue to be into the future, but we're trying to reduce our impact. And to do that, we really need to understand what's going to happen, not tomorrow, not even 2 years from now, but what's going to happen in 10 years and what's going to happen in 15. Because if we can understand that efficiently, we can make sure our program is optimised and we're not overspending, I guess, and which is going to ultimately cost customers money. One example we do at the moment is we have a energy conservation and communities program, which is basically going out to the community and a number of communities we have and saying, look, here are some devices that can help manage what we call peak load, which is what we build our network for, which is largely what costs a lot of money for consumers. But it also gives them something in return about saying you can actually manage your own electricity and you can reduce your bills and you can reduce your consumption effectively. So what we're doing with that information at the moment is we're looking at which communities get the biggest return from that. So who lives in those communities and what are some of their attributes and understanding and behaviours. So we can actually go to those communities and demonstrate the return for them. So we can approach these people and say, look, this is the sort of information that we can give you that gives you a great return, which also helps us as a business. We had an account manager that I dealt with, and then I have a core team of people. So we had continual feedback and weekly conference calls, we still do with Acxiom to make sure we're up to date and understanding. And Acxiom over the 3 years had built a great understanding and capability of our business. So, you know, we're still the business experts and we still guide them in that aspect, but we don't need to sell it internally to our business to say these guys are, you know, outsiders that don't understand it, because they've got that capability now. So that's built with a continual relationship. And it's critical for us that we maintain that relationship, and it's not just through my team who has the primary relationship with Acxiom, it's making sure that they're working with and they're gaining relationships with their own internal stakeholders as well. Look, I would certainly recommend Acxiom to other companies. I think they've got a great skill and a great capability. We were the first sort of electricity distributor to work with Acxiom, and I think they've learnt a lot of us, and we've learnt a lot of them as well, I should say. But look, I think they've got a lot of value that they can add, from understanding customers and behaviours to plan and design, but also to influence as well. So it's a capability that we as a business didn't have previously, and we're learning and evolving, and I think they've got a great group of people, a great amount of skill, and they can add value to a lot of companies. The capability we have built up with Acxiom sets us aside from some of the other distributors. I'm not saying we're necessarily more advanced. I guess we just approach things in a different manner. So we have more data to be able to do that, I guess, which is what does set us aside. So what we've learnt is the traditional view to designing a network, which isn't necessarily a bad view and can continue to work, can be advanced with this other view of information, other data. So our whole ethos is really about gathering this understanding and then feeding that into the business process, because it gives them another view of things that will ultimately add efficiency into their program. So we're not about changing it, we're actually about adding information and efficiency into what's already being done. Overall, I'd say Energex have come a long way with this program. We do still have a long way to go, and I think we've learnt a lot and we've got a lot to learn, but the capability we have so far is far above what we expected when we started this 3 years ago. It's been a challenge and it will continue to be a challenge, but it's something that we're continuing to grow and we're quite happy with.